Hi, I am Kate Hennessy. I am 15 years old and attend the Upper Arlington High School. I like to play field hockey and lacrosse, and I have cystic fibrosis.
Kate and her older brother Matt were first diagnosed with cystic fibrosis in May of 2000. Their parents describe how they were diagnosed.
Well, Matt was about 7.5 years old, and he was playing some competitive soccer, and he looked like he wasn't running as much as he had been. And a couple months went by, and he was coughing quite a bit. He got sick, and we took him to the doctor. And basically, they listened to him, and they thought they heard a pneumonia type of a thing going on in his lungs. So they asked us to get an x-ray, which we did, and the radiologist reported that Matt's lungs looked perhaps like someone who had cystic fibrosis. And so we took him down to Children's, and he had what is called a sweat test, where they measure the amount of sodium in your sweat, and it came back extremely high, which is very typical of somebody who has cystic fibrosis. And at that point, Matt was 8 years old.
And then we decided we had to have Kate and you, Andrew, tested. We knew that you didn't have it because you had none of the symptoms. However, we assumed Kate did because we actually licked her, or mom licked her, and you could taste, she tasted salty, which is an indication of too much chloride in your system, which is one of the telltale signs of CF. And sure enough, we had her tested, and she was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis as well.
Nurse Terry Johnson explains CF.
So in a nutshell, basically the basic defect in cystic fibrosis is that the chloride channel doesn't pump right. And so because of that, the layer of fluid that the majority of us without cystic fibrosis have in our sinuses, in our lungs, in our intestines is just not present in CF, because that channel doesn't allow the salt and water to flow back and forth freely like it does in everybody else. So because of that fluid not being there, lots of thick and sticky mucus is produced primarily in the lungs, and the pancreas are probably the two major organs that are affected, although we know it's an entire body disease. So basically then thick sticky mucus is produced in the lungs, and that's where bacteria gets trapped. And then over time, if we don't clear that bacteria well every day with our therapies that we know are available, that will grow and grow and eventually cause scarring that leads to troubles, big troubles down the road.
Kids with CF run different lives compared to everyone else. Kate describes her average morning.
I wake up at 6:30 and I do my vest, which is a 30-minute treatment where you actually put on a physical vest and you buckle it, and there's two tubes that come out of the sides, and they plug into a machine that has 3 different settings that progressively shake you faster, and they shake my lungs and they shake the thick mucus stuck in my lungs. And so I do that for 30 minutes. And then also with my breakfast, I take 4 enzymes and a Prilosec. And my enzymes are to help break down the fat in the foods that I eat because my digestive system doesn't work as well.
In addition, CF patients go to the CF clinic every 8 to 12 weeks. While there, they undergo physical examinations, which includes testing lung function. Also, they meet with the nutritionist and the doctor.
Right. Good job, nice and easy. One more easy one. Okay, Catherine, big breath, big as you can, big, big, big. Blast it. Go, 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 go. Good job.
Kate leads a very normal life. However, she describes how CF has affected her this far.
CF has affected my life in many different ways. It definitely has made me a stronger person, and I mean, it doesn't define who I am. I think I handle my CF pretty well. During sports, when I run, sometimes I'll have to cough because the mucus will be shaking up and it gets like stuck in my throat.
Since Matt and Kate were first diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, their parents held a fundraiser in order to raise money for CF research. They describe their fundraising effort.
Well, soon after the kids were diagnosed in 2000, Matt was 8 and Kate was 3, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation came to us here in Columbus and asked us if we would participate in some fundraising activities, because we understand that the way to cure this disease is through science, and science is very expensive. So we agreed to do that, and we have held a golf tournament for the last 11 years. And that's been very successful. We have about 300 people who come to the event every year. We raise about $70,000 to $75,000. And we also do a letter writing campaign at the end of each year. We send a letter to our friends who, either live here or live around the country. And they've been very generous, and we've been very fortunate to have raised about $750,000 since the kids were diagnosed. So we think it's important because we know that there's they've already made great strides in the science, in the search for a cure for CF. We're getting very close to that. We believe that someday, very soon, there will be just a pill or two that the kids will have to take to make their bodies work normally. But it's still going to take a lot of money and time to achieve that. So that's why we think it's important to be part of the fundraising activities of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
And I think Mom hit the nail right in the head when she said that money is time in the CF world. The faster we raise money, the less time there is in terms of finding better treatments and a cure. And as to fundraising, it's really difficult to open up your lives to other people and ask for money. We've been pretty amazed by the response. And I think what really says it all is a lot of people say thank you for asking them when we ask them for money. Because people, especially in this community and all over the country that we know, are very generous, and they're looking for places to make charitable donations. And if they have a connection with one, by just knowing us, knowing Matt and Kate and you, Andrew, they're more willing to give to CF, and we've been very, very humbled by that.
Nurse Terry Johnson takes a closer look at what the future holds for CF patients.
Yeah, so I think the big one is the Vertex, which has many names to it, but in numbers. But basically, it's the Vertex trial, which is fixing the basic defect that we talked about at the beginning. So because it really is taking the chloride channels and helping them pump correctly. And the real exciting thing about all of this is it's probably the first time that in a chronic disease they're really fixing the basic defect, okay, at the cellular level. It's huge. So it's not like just a new antibiotic, which we do dearly love still, but it is really looking at what we would call correcting the disease. They're really not calling that a cure yet, although I'm not sure why, but it really is kind of correcting the disease so that these guys may end up taking a pill twice a day that will make their life so much easier.